Hi, this is Jeff at websticker.com. We are sometimes asked about the history of the bumper sticker. It's my understanding that the bumper sticker was invented by Forrest Gill in the 40s. But we wanted to get the story behind the story, so we went down to Gill Studios, one of the largest manufacturers of stickers in the country, and talked to their chairman, Mark Gilman, about the history of the bumper sticker.
My company, Gill Studios, dates back to 1934, and it was started by a man named Forrest Gill. And we used to sort of joke that he started the company because he couldn't find a job. Actually, he'd been working in the Kansas City area with a canvas goods manufacturing company, and they had a line of tire covers made of canvas goods that they sold to either car dealers or to retail establishments that wanted to have advertisement on the cars and trucks they drove. And Forrest worked in the silkscreen printing department of this company, and he was fairly happy there. He was a very young man, but the Depression came along and things got worse and worse and worse, and to make a long story short, he ended up as an independent screen printer in the basement of his house. His former employees had given him some of their equipment so that he could go off on his own. And so for the next 7, 8, 9 years, he struggled mightily to survive economically by going out around the Kansas City area and selling decals and signs of various kinds, and then going home and doing the printing work in the basement, delivering the job and looking for a new one. And he was pretty much all by himself for most of that time. Toward the end of the 30s, he began to get a little traction and hired a couple of people to work with him. He found a place in an old warehouse down in a area of Kansas City we call the West Bottoms, which is basically a floodplain. And then when World War II began, he did get traction. Because of his background in canvas work, he got subcontracts from other large canvas companies in the area because they were printing a lot, they were making a lot of canvas goods for military use. Truck covers, gun covers, and things like that, and this work needed to have some printing done on it. So he prospered throughout the war years by making a lot of these canvas goods. When the war ended, he was back to square one, just being a printer. But by that time, he'd gained a lot of expertise, a lot of experience. He'd become exposed to a lot of different materials, and a couple of things came together. This would have been around 1944, 1945. He had an opportunity to fill some orders for what were then called bumper signs. A bumper sign was a piece of cardboard that had little holes punched in each corner, and the sign would be tied onto a bumper with wires or string. And these kinds of signs were fairly common throughout the early years of the automobile. As you may recall, or you probably wouldn't recall, but in those days automobiles really had bumpers that stuck out from the body of the car, and you could actually wrap a string around it to hold the sign on. These cardboard signs weren't weatherproof, of course, and they didn't last very long. But Forrest had worked with self-sticking paper during the time of the war years. He actually made some labels that would go on the outside of the big cases of the canvas goods he made. And he also had begun to use some brightly colored fluorescent inks that went by the trade name Day-Glo. They had names like Rocket Red and Arc Yellow. They were very, very bright colors. They didn't last very long because they actually gave off energy or fluoresced when they were exposed to sunlight. But anyway, he put together the self-sticking paper and the Day-Glo colors and made bumper stickers out of them instead of bumper signs. And he literally went out into the parking lot and measured car bumpers to see how big a bumper sticker could be and fit on cars of those days. And he began doing the work.
Well, thank you to Mark Gilman and Gill Studios. There'll be more from that interview at a future time. Have a good day. This is Jeff at websticker.com.
websticker.com